What's going on, traders? How we doing out there? Let's get right into the market and find out what's going on today, as it seems like the question that I have to ask, is it time for the pullback? Because we're definitely getting a little bit of a slowdown today. And I would say that stocks are taking a bit of a pause from the rally, but will we continue to see this lift? All questions that you can be asking. You guys in the chat, let me know. Do you guys think it's time for the pullback or time for the rip? That's what I'd ask you guys. Tell me in the chat. Let's keep going. Let's take a look at the market today. Of course, the SPY trying to get up past the resistance, and it's pretty close to the resistance, but we'll see if we're able to get above that level. Of course, 437 is the level that we've been talking about as resistance, and we do get moves above it. We went as high as 438 today, but not holding there, and I think that's important, right? And not getting above that level. Now, the only question is, will we get another ramp period higher, or will we get some pullback action? Of course, I'm not really kind of changing tunes just yet, and not necessarily saying that, this is the end of the rally for the Q4. But of course, like always, stocks don't go always in just one direction. So I think that's one thing that we need to keep in mind and be wary of, that we could get some pullback. But let's talk a little bit about the swing trade actions that I have on right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stocks on today, guys, and got close to getting stopped out of one of them. One of them was as close as 4% and now down to 1.6%, right? One that I did take profits in. So let's get to that. Let's go ahead. Let's do a little review. Took these trades yesterday. SMCI, we took it right on the close, and a lot of it based on this 15-minute hourly chart, right? Could we bounce off of this trend line, start getting higher? That's exactly what we got out the gates. We even got as high as 264. Was looking for a close above 265 to really show the movement to the upside in this SMCI. I've taken this trade before, and at that point, I'm keep getting a lift. It pushes a little bit higher. Right now, I even have a break-even stop set. Not exactly break-even, actually 2 cents in the green at 254.50s. Got in this at 254.48 on yesterday. That was right around here when this was starting to come back here towards the close. You can see we had a nice little lift, about 3.5%. Got close to that 4%. Right now, about 1.45. I have 1.58 right now. We'll see what happens on this one. Now let's get to the cashed out one, the one that we took some cash. Roku to the short side, not bad overnight, and going to continue to watch Roku because this has been a massive run, right? About 50% higher from that 55. Up there, it's like about 52 if you want to be exact, right? Maybe you're putting it to 53%. But will we come back to that support? That support is 79.34. So essentially, that's what I'm targeting now. We have gotten a little move down today. We even went down to 80.68. I actually took some profits on this at the 81.20 level. So that was kind of in this area when this was starting to come back down. I had to take at least a little profits. Could have taken it down there to 40, 80, 75s. I was looking for a little bit more there in Roku, but took some profits just to make sure we pay ourselves. And at this point, really wouldn't let it get back through my entry. My entry, 83.54. We'll see what happens on this one. And then Valero getting into the green for us, as this one went green to red. And that's exactly what I was looking for. Now, the biggest miss of the day was a big opportunity on the XLE that we talked about here. Looking for what? A pop and drop. We talked about that just yesterday. So smash the like if you guys like opportunities like this, and especially a forward outlook, because the truth is, the only thing I can tell you guys is what I'm looking for. And here, a nice pop and drop on XLE to the 84. And just yesterday, we were around the 83.79. So nice attempt to get back into the high, right? Hourly resistance getting rejected here. And you guys can see that hourly resistance, it starts to come up. It gets right to that spot around the 84.05 level and knocked down here. Now, the only question is, will we start seeing the XLE just completely let go? And you guys can see this trend line that we're coming back to it. And I played it off this last time short and long. So today, And moving forward, I'm looking to do the same thing. Right now, it's to the short side. If we get back above this line and start to hold, get towards like, let's say 87, 88, yeah, I could play back towards the upside. But for right now, XLE looks like it's about to fall off. And a lot of these oil names kind of gave us the topping action, right? XOM giving, of course, a buy and acquisition in the space. It's been down since then. Chevron, down since then. They pretty much called the top there with those orders. And now you're starting to really see the decline come in. So I'm going to continue watching for other stocks here to start showing even more weakness, right? Look at this triple, quadruple top here. I'm going to call it on Halliburton. This has been coming down pretty fast, has support right underneath it. So maybe we get a little bit of a bounce towards 39. But other than that, I could see this coming back down to the 32s and 30s. So these are kind of the stocks that we can be looking at. Schlumberger also taking a hit. There's a lot of these in here in the oil space. So where's Wisdom when you need him? I know he's coming after these oil names. So shout out to you guys. Let's get after it. Boa Plays, Andy, it's good to see you guys out there. Crow, you went real degen today on the WeWork life. OTC life, man. Hey, shout out to you for taking that shot. If I wanted to talk OTCs, what would I be talking about? Of course, I'd probably be talking about cannabis stocks, but that's just me. MSOS is another way to kind of play this, right? I always look at this because I like to take a look at what's doing well here. And what do you guys see? Green Thumb Industries moving higher. VRNOF, Verano, moving higher today. Truly moving higher. This is why I truly love this program, because I can do things like this. But shout out to you, the Crow, going for a little WeWork life. What's the ticker now on the OTC? Is it still We? I think I had to switch over, right? What's the ticker now? I would like to take a look at this. And man, is this actually, I think there's something going on with my program here. It says 145. I don't understand what's going on there, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to leave it alone. Let's keep going. We'll see what else is going out there. TTWO leaking all day into earnings. I think that's an opportunity, guys. This is an interesting one. Pulling back, of course, but it had a pretty significant spike based on, of course, the mentions of Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out. 50% retracement level around the 143 spot. So if we can get down to 143 today, I might take my shot on this one. Just giving me a little bit of some pullback going into earnings. I'll tell you right now, if I do take an earnings play, guys, it's going to be as small as can be, just to kind of learn from the experience, because the truth is, I don't do well on those earnings play call outs. So I'm going to be careful here, but definitely one to keep an eye out. Earnings tonight. And it might not be the best night to report, right? Because we're getting this sideways action. One bigger stock maybe puts a bad report in, and it could actually start affecting the others. So I would be a little bit careful tonight. We'll see what happens with TTWO. It's WKW. Oh, I don't even have that right now, man. We'll see what happens on that WeWork stock. Oh, here's the warrant at least. I was able to find the warrants on kind of the smaller one. Is this one it here? No, that's still the old one, but I was able to find at least the warrant out there with what you mentioned. So the warrant out there looks like WEWOW. It's at 14 cents, but hey, shout out to you for taking a shot on that one. Let's go to Hood. The Hood. What's going on in Robinhood? Downside action, what's going on in Robinhood? And at some point, I think the stock's going to be in acquisition. But the only problem is at what price. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to look for a move that brings us down below 7s, below 6. I'm going to look for a 50% retracement from here. I'm going to look to playing Hood at like $4 or $5. If it does get down there, I'm willing to take a shot. And so much that, you know what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put set an alert at 498 and not monitor for 1 month. This has to be a little bit longer time frame for it to get down there. So I'm going to do it for like a whole year. When Hood gets to that $5, you guys call me. The alert will let me know, and we'll take a look at it for maybe a potential investment. Smash the like. Let's keep going, team. We'll see what else is going out there. And I do want to give you guys some insight on Hood. And you guys will see. We're actually going to be talking to none other than the CEO from the crypto side, right? You guys want to find out a little bit more about Hood. We got the general manager of crypto, Johan Kerbat, is going to be joining us from Robinhood on Friday, pre-market prep. So don't miss that. You guys just got some insight that not many know. And why do you get the insight? Because you're right here on Start Swing Trade, of course. You guys know I got the scoop. I'm here for you guys. Smash the like. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other action. Lucid. I'm thinking about buying some Lucid. I'm afraid it might go bankrupt. What do you think? Well, I've been calling that bankrupt for a long time, Boba Plays. If you haven't heard about my Lucid mentions, well, just rewind back in the day or any day that Lucid had a big move. Man, I still remember the day that it did do this little pop where it popped to like 16, 17, and all of a sudden it came right back down. That was this moment right here. And I remember I was like, man, I should have shorted the hell out of that pop. It went all the way up to 70 and 81 and then just came right back down. That's where you got to be careful with shorting names like this, because as you get closer to zero, it actually gives the opportunity more for the longs than the shorts, because there's only zero as the max profit. After that, there is no profit, right? So I think at this point, you got to be careful. You can play Lucid to the long side. And I think the only thing that could possibly happen here is potentially more like a buyout. But I don't think that's going to happen either because of the valuation that Lucid has. Let's just be honest. The only reason that Lucid has stuck around because it has that Saudi money. If it didn't have that Saudi money, it'd probably already be gone. I know that a lot of people believed in this company. They thought it was going to be the next Tesla. And just because an engineer went from Tesla to Lucid, they thought that it would take down the Dragon. But let's just be honest. The Dragon will stick around. Tesla will stick around. And Lucid, it might not even be there next year. So in my case, I would leave this company alone. They're a higher end vehicle. Not something that I see being adopted massively. And that's why I just don't like EVs right now. Even Rivian, I'm looking for a lower price target than what I have at the 52-week low. It's gotten to a low of 1168. I've talked about it that I want this, but where? Below 10, guys. And if it ever gets there, I'll take my shot. But to tell you the truth, I'll just do the same thing that I did with the other one. I'll set an alert there for $10 and wait for it to come for me and then take my investment. I think next year we'll see the demand in EV go extremely down, and you're going to see a lot of automakers struggle with their EVs. So much that you'll probably see some maybe potential gas-powered vehicles being mentioned for new models, but we'll see what happens there. Even like Toyota Motors, I think eventually runs into a struggle. They're being able to lease out vehicles in a lower interest rate because of what they can do, where they can look for like some loans. But at some point, I think even Toyota Motors turns back to the downside. And Ford, let's not even talk about Ford. This could go down towards like $5 and maybe even lower than that. So remember, 2020 low, this was down to $4. What's really changed since then? Not much. If anything, their margins are going down. So would I want to be in Ford? Hell no. There's no reason for me to be in there. We'll find out what happens. All right, let's keep going. Let's go out of this Ford talk. Let's go to the sectors. And you can see here, guys, I always talk about this, how I pay attention from the open. And not too many people pay attention to this. What do I mean from the open? Well, overall, are we kind of lifting on the day? Essentially, there is no sector from the open today that's in the green. This is important. Most people will tell you what? That technology, industrials, and real estate were green today. Why? Because the overall change percentage. But that's not what matters to me the most. What matters to me, at least, is percentage change since the open. Because this will not lie to me. Did stocks go up or down from the open is what I want to be focusing on there. And you can see technology in the red today. And what's leading the downside is energy. So that's why you guys see me also have one play to the short side in energy with that VLO and calling call outs for XLE. And another area that was in slightly in the green earlier today that I've been talking about is what? Let's see if you guys name it before I bring it up. It's, of course, dun dun dun. It's not I love gold.
I love gold.
It's I love coal, baby. Let's take a look at it. Coal to the downside. We've been talking about it yesterday. And will these continue? AMR taking another leg, but back up a little bit here. This basically gives us an opportunity, I feel like, to knock this right back down. So I haven't taken a short on AMR probably ever, but I'm looking at it, team. And I'm also looking at stocks like CEIX. BTU goes down, back down to the 22s. This one started looking like it was coming back. Doesn't look strong by any means. A lot of these, I think, are just going to keep coming back here, especially if energy can stay on the decline. I did see LLY, Eli Lilly's drug got approved, and it's up there to 625s. And I did an actual opposite kind of trade here, guys. I want to let you guys know about a specific trade that I took based off of Eli Lilly getting their weight loss drug approved. And I'll still always look back at Eli Lilly and be like, man, Mitch, you should have stuck to that 330, gave it a little bit more room and look for this rip. That's for another conversation. But what I took for a shot in, and I'm actually in the red. This is why I like talking about some things that are in the red, because the truth is, you guys can't tell me that I'm cherry picking. I'm actually in the red in this situation, but I'm looking for a change in tune in Mondelez confectioner, right? Everybody's talking about how the weight loss drugs could be affecting kind of your chip makers, your candy makers and things like this. Well, Mondelez has been on a nice little run since like mid-October, got up there. Now I'm seeing what? 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of highs in the same area. So with that being said, I'm looking for the turnaround to the downside now, coming back here for the 64 or 61 down here at the low. I could see this just turning back around. And it does have a support that's acting as resistance. The 200-day is acting as resistance. The exponential, that's that purple line you see there. So I'm going to look for this to take a downturn. And it's not the most common trade off of that Lilly. So there you guys have it. A little bit of some trade idea from me. I hope you guys enjoy that, because I'm bringing it to you as I'm in the red. So essentially, you guys could one-up me on this. It's always up to you guys to make your investment decisions. But this is what I see, at least on there. And another one could be maybe like a Hershey's, right? But Hershey's has come down significantly. So why would I come after this one, right? I would come after the one that's gone up lately, and I could see that coming back down. We'll see what happens there. Celsius Holdings showing back up. That one did come right back up. We'll see what happens there. How's my retail trade going on? The XRT, nice little pullback here for an opportunity. Something that we can keep our eyes open for. Nick Sanders bringing in some conversation that EV is going to tank. I agree. EV is not growing anytime soon. And BTU, I see it to the downside. The only reason why is because oil's coming right back down. Coal, energy stocks are very high correlated with coal, right? I pay attention to that. And also when energy struggles, what also struggles? The stock we talked about yesterday, guys. First Solar. Taking another leg down here, guys, and continuing to lose altitude. We'll see what happens to these solar names, but not something that I want to touch. If anything, I could see this TAN going lower. This ETF is just atrocious, man. I still remember when I was looking for this to actually maybe make a move back here and, you know, maybe catch this support, then get back towards the upside. And this just tells me these solar names, see ya. I wouldn't want to be ya. Let's keep going. We'll see what else is out there. Definitely smash the like. Anything you guys are looking at, you guys can definitely bring it up. Bitcoin back to 35,500. We'll see what happens on Bitcoin. I'll tell you one thing. I'm not touching the Mara. I'm not touching the MSTR. I'm not touching the Coinbase based off of what's going on in the price of Bitcoin. This has everything to do with more of the ETFs eventually getting approved. The only question is, when does that catalyst come in? I don't think we have a specific answer. And with that being mentioned, that's a problem, at least in my outlook. All right, let's keep going, team. We'll take some stocks from you guys. It's 3:52. I can keep talking about sectors and industries all day long. You guys know how I like to work. I always work from sectors to industries to stocks. If you guys want to mention some stocks in the chat or industries and sectors that you want to look into, now's your opportunity to run the show. So take your shot and drop in a ticker. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is going mentioned in the chat. I do see Crow talking about a fast mover today. LIFW, that's been a big ripper as of late. Will this one make another move up? You guys can see how it's trying to make a run here towards the close. We'll see if this can kind of make that next move up. PXMD was another one that was making a move recently, but this one declining today, back down to the 340s. We'll see what happens on this one. Gerard talking about, so why is everything energy dropping? Oil, NG, coal, solar. We all power our homes and vehicles. Why is it going down? Well, the big part of this, Gerard, is going to be taking a look at what? Overall crude pricing. And I don't do this too often because essentially it's kind of like one of our competitors, Gerard, but I'll give you the insight here. So I always pull this up and I just literally, you guys can look this up. And you guys can either get the futures for real, or you guys can look at some delayed settlement action here. This is from Market Watch. So shout out to you, Market Watch. Appreciate you having this for me. So what I look up is WTI. And a lot of the times, what am I looking at? I'm looking at this right here, the days range. And I'm looking at where were we on the top end today? Where were we on the down end today? This is going to help you guys. So if you can catch this, what will this help me on is understanding, okay, so if that's the day's range, right? Where am I looking for? Well, I've been looking for 80s to get cut down into the 70s. That happened yesterday. And today it tried to come back up through the 80s at the 77.50s, but couldn't do it. If anything, look at where the dot is. The dot is ending towards the left-hand side, which is not a good thing, ending towards the lower end. So with that being mentioned, unless we can get this to spike back through the 80s, I'm going to continue to look for the downside and watch out because look at the 52-week range, 95. We were just at that high end just a couple of weeks ago. Now look where we're at. In the middle is around, let's say I'll put it like at 80. And now you're getting closer towards that 63. Will we make it all the way to that 60s? If we go into the 60 handles, these energy stocks are going to take a further hit. So just giving you the insight there, Gerard, of how I come out to these names and how I focus on them. A lot of it is based on WTI outlook. And why? Because I always look what was said to me by a professor. He said, understand one thing. What is the underlying asset in that stock? And how is that underlying asset priced? If you can understand that underlying asset, in the long run, it will affect the stock's pricing. And let's say for like ExxonMobil that had a purchase and acquisition at the top, then prices coming down, a lot of downward pressure. And that's why you're seeing some of those stocks take the beating. There you go, Gerard. I love to take moments, especially learning lessons on how you guys can take a look into that. So definitely take a look at WTI. You can also take a look of how that affects natural gas, how that affects solar and coal. And you got to know the relationships, right? So like I see energy going down, I immediately look at the coal names. And for some odd reason, it really affects solar names, as you guys can see that. So we'll continue to watch. And usually when technology is getting this huge bounce back, solars have a tendency of being at the top. And when those start to slow down, that momentum slows down, we start seeing solar slowly fade away again. That's why solar is a little bit harder to play. All right, guys, it's 3:56. We only got about 4 minutes left here, less than that, like 3 minutes. Let's see what we can get into here. Smash the like, guys. Lily still making that big move. Where's it at now? 620s, 80s. I was thinking about playing this today, guys. When the news came out, you did get a pop and drop right here on this drop where was, I think, the opportunity. I think you had a lot of institutional action off that 600. Look what it made a run to, 625. Even just that alone, 4% on a $600 name in one day, intraday. Oh, yeah. I'd bring the register. So we'll see what happens with Eli Lilly. So many people talking about this one on different medias. Will it get back there towards this high, which is a 629.97? And what will that do for stocks that are in kind of different areas in healthcare, right? Or the ETFs like XLV, right? Look how XLV is starting to prop a little bit here. Look a little bit better, especially because the leader like Lilly making a nice little up move. So if we could see some other strength in healthcare, maybe healthcare can start turning around some. That's something that I'm watching. Team Cheek, it's good to see you out there. It's 3:58 team. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look and a review of my swing trades before the market wraps up. Still in Roku. We'll see what happens on that one. Looking for some downside overnight action. If I come back tomorrow and it's above 84s, I'll be out of it. But before we get to this show, we'll see what happens. Really looking for it to come back closer towards this 81.50s and 81s overnight. And we'll see. There's no guarantees, right? But I did take some profits in this one. And that's what's important. At this point, don't want to lose on the position. Just want to make more. Was it Lilly that dropped to the market at 11:54 a.m.? Let's see it. I don't think that was it. That was an attempt to the downside there, but you can see it here. Lilly around the 11:40 is when it turned around. So 54 is going to be kind of where it was already spiking. So that's where it started to turn around. 11:35, 11:36. Let's take a look at the SPY and the Qs. What was happening at that spot? You can see we were around the 12:10 when this turned around. That could have been what turned around the market there. So just like a bigger stock kind of getting that lift. Also keeping an eye on stocks like this, right? Like Microsoft. It was weak today, but it really wasn't weak. It was a little bit above open, came back down trying to break support, held that, and has gone sideways. But this closing action is a positive, and it could keep stocks riding higher. That's why I'm glad I'm in a stock like SMCI to the long side and at least going to have some exposure to the long side, some exposure to the short side, right? I have Valero short. I have SMCI to the upside, and then I have a momentum name like Roku to the downside, giving me the potential, if there is a turnaround, to collect on that. This is why I think it's important to have multiple swing trades on, especially in opportunities when you can play uncorrelated sectors and industries, and hopefully, like always, end into the green, right? There's no guarantees, but the key here is having your risk to return and sticking to that, right? Like you guys heard me mention today, like a 4% gainer on an overnight swing. Yeah, that's nothing wrong to take that money and run, especially in this environment. All right, guys, tonight we will get some earnings. It's 4 p.m. That's going to do it for us here. But of course, check out the earnings stocks that are coming in tonight. There's a lot on the tape. Walt Disney, Take-Two, HubSpot, U-Haul, Twilio. We'll talk all about those tomorrow on PreMarket Prep. And then, of course, Thursday stocks. We get Li Auto, Sony, Yeti, AstraZeneca. If that report does well, with the Lilly doing well, maybe we start to see continued movement in healthcare. Krispy Kreme donuts. So get your icing ready for tomorrow and catch us on PreMarket Prep. Up next, you guys have what? Well, don't go anywhere, team. I got a lot for you guys for the rest of the day. So this is what we're going to do. We can go over to the cannabis show that's going to be coming up next. It's the Dales Report. They'll talk about cannabis, psychedelics, and crypto. So if you guys like finding some investments that most probably aren't taking a look at yet, there could be some massive opportunities, especially if we keep having moments like what happened in Ohio and Florida. Not going to give you guys the details because you guys got to catch the show. That's the Dales Report coming up next, the Trade to Black podcast. Don't miss that. And then after around 4:30, you guys can catch what? Disney's report right here. So don't go anywhere, team. I'll go ahead and I'll give you guys this link here. And the shrooms will be talked about on the Trade to Black podcast. I don't know if you guys have been taking a look at all that action and even stocks like Cybin, right? Well, take a look into that. That's starting up next. Don't go anywhere. I just threw up the link for you guys to check out Disney's earnings call that starts at 4:30. So let's go over to the Trade the Black podcast. catch some of that. And then, of course, maybe shift on over to Disney as their numbers come in and their conference. Like always, one thing I would tell you guys is use Benzinga Pro, though, to get these numbers. As you guys can always see, I always have a pro available to me. I'm always trying to catch the numbers as they come in. That's what it's all about. We'll see you guys, like always, right here on Start Swing Trade. Smash the like. Like always, I'll see you guys bright and early on Pre-Market Prep. Up next, the Trade to Black podcast, and then Disney's earnings call. We got it all for you right here on Benzinga.